One of the many things a lot of people love about VR is the simple fact of being able to use your physical hands in a virtual experience. You know, like grabbing objects, firing weapons, or maybe even gesture and sign to people in VR chat. For this reason then, I was very excited to jump into a VR game that said, nah, we don't need hands, and basically replace those versatile and useful limbs with baseball bats. What the Bat is a VR title by Triband, the same people who made What the Golf, a game that, if you're not familiar with the concept, is a puzzle game all about grabbing your expectations, blending them up, and throwing them right back at you. Having extensively played What the Golf together with Freek, it was only natural for us to look forward to this VR adaptation of the original concept. And straight off the bat, it looked simple and easily understood as a puzzle game. But the more you play it, the more you realize that whatever you expect will somehow be different every time in its own little ways. If you have played What the Golf in the past, this should all feel pretty familiar in terms of the cute art style and sometimes puzzling thoughts on how it will be different this time around. What I didn't expect though is that this concept of their earlier game transferred really well into VR. It felt like a refreshing addition to the VR game library, all while running exceptionally well on a relatively old system. Playing this with something like the Pimax Crystal would be a lovely experience without the need for the highest end hardware. And combined all of this with the feel-good physics and a constant surprise factor, you really get yourself a lovely little puzzle game.
Don't expect to know that.
Don't expect to know this.
Yeah, it isn't the longest playtime for the price you pay right now, but at the same time, I could see plenty of reason for adding levels in the future. I am already pleasantly surprised at some of the clever puzzles, and even though essentially all I used was 2 baseball bats, sometimes it felt like I was playing multiple games in this one game. And that is exactly what I love about titles like these. The creativity is only limited by your imagination, and it is a perfect example of how even the simplest of game mechanics can still be a great VR experience. It made me laugh, think, and get really frustrated, all while having no clue why this blue elephant is following me around. It also feels really nice when you think you got it all figured out and expect the unexpected, but then still be surprised when the expected unexpected was the wrong expectation. If you catch my drift. Sometimes the surprise is more evident than others, but overall it always adds just enough to every puzzle to make you constantly be put on your mental toes as you try to figure out what is next.
Oh. There we go. I like that. That's a good concept. This is intriguing. Oh, okay, and then they kind of did.
And there goes the parking.
Now it's Rocket League.
The only thing that did frustrate me properly with this game was the position of the reset button on my left bat. I kept accidentally pushing it at the end of my swing, and if the button was a double press or something, this could be avoided in most circumstances.
Wait, what? Oh, I reset it. Bruh, and again.
It didn't ruin my experience at all, but it did make me take a little longer on levels that required multiple swings.
Oh my god!
Trick shot, baby.
Trick shots, baby. Yeah.
All in all, What the Bat, then, is a nice and comforting addition to my VR game library, and in my opinion, it is a little underrated at the moment. Sadly, the replayability of a puzzle format like this is, of course, not the highest, and once you get all the tricks in the book, you are kind of left looking to find all the little quirks and features. But then again, give it some time and I am sure future content could add to this in the best possible ways. This already is a really cozy time to spend in VR, and it all feels really well polished for something that is literally just released. Of course, every game will still have its little details to be worked on.
I think I'm supposed to brush my teeth. But I can't because my head is back.
But overall, they hit it out of the park with this one, and I cannot wait to see more content for it in the future. So, if you got a VR headset, the time, and some spare change, you should really check it out in the links down below.